some of their money or put some of it away rather than spend everything in one day. Again, we're going to tell our kids that, listen, we're going to put some things down for a rainy day. That's just another way to get a child to save. The one that I think really resonates well in teaching your child how to save and to learn about money is basically establishing credit for your child from a young age. Now, I'm not telling you to have a conversation with a 3 year old or a 5 year old, even a 10-year old about credit. But what it is, what you can do, or what would be advisable to do, is that let's say, when the child is born, from the moment the child gets a social security number, if you are a person that has good credit, you can simply put your child on one of your credit cards as an authorized user. You know what? Once the baby gets their social, immediately that's what you can do to get them to start learning how to save and how to preserve their credit, because you can save all you want in the world and you could have everything to your disposal. But when that child goes to make that first major purchase or make purchases in the future, if they don't have good established credit that they worked on, all the savings is just going to go right out the door. So we need to first teach our children or help our children to establish their credit. So when they do save their money, they could easily, go out and buy the things that they want to buy, being that they have that great credit score. And again, credit is the foundation and the building, of saving. All right, so how do you do it? Well, as I said, you get an authorized user, you get a credit card, you put the child on your credit card as an authorized user. And once you put the child on your credit card as an authorized user, over the years, even if the child is just 1 year old or just, 2 months, once the child has that social security number, they're building up their credit profile over the years. Once they're building up their credit profile, by the time the child reaches 18 or they become a full-fledged adult and they want to start making purchases, they already have their credit established. And so all that money that you already taught the child how to save, they would use that money to buy they would use that credit rather to buy the things that they want to buy. That's another way to teach your child to save for the future. Now, many a times in teaching children how to save for the future, it's not always an easy task. Because I get it, as kids, they have their money, they just want to buy the latest things in the store, they want to go out with their friends, they want to hang out. It's not an easy task to do, but with a little diligence, we can do it. Another great way to save is the good old fashioned traditional bank account. Take your child to the bank with you one day. I know a lot of banking is done online. I know everybody, is doing things with these fintech companies. Everybody's transferring money over, but just going into the regular bank, run down to the bank if it's even on a Saturday, on a weekend when you're off from work. Take your child with you. Show your child how you deposit money. Show your child how you withdraw money. Explain to your child what you're doing with that money. The importance of going into a bank and allowing your money to work for you. Teach a child to say that when they save their money, they could also use their money to leverage and buy the things that they really want to buy. Now, as a matter of fact, another great thing that you could also explain to the child in the bank, you could explain to them the different types of accounts that they have in the bank. One of the most important ones that I would even mention to my own child is the savings account. Yes, the checking account is integral for paying our bills and doing withdrawals and additions, but the savings account is where you basically teach a child how to set goals. Teaching your child from a very young age how to set goals is one of the greatest things that you can do. Again, before we go on, people, if you're enjoying this content, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. If this message resonates with you, please put the word out, share the video so others can get the same type of information that you're privy to get. So, as I was saying, when you take your child to the bank, you're letting your child know where the money goes, where the money comes from, and how to achieve that money, how to work towards something. That's a great, great way to start in teaching your child how to save. Another great way to teach your child how to save is basically having like a little savings book. Every time your child gets money, you could have that child literally record how much money they got. They could put the date down and just keep looking at it as the numbers go up. Again, everything is hands on. Once a child or anybody for that matter is able to look and see, the money that they're adding up or that they're accumulating, they're going to be more motivated to want to save their money. Saving is a great, I'm not going to say hobby, but it's a great way to motivate somebody to understand the value of a dollar. A lot of people that struggle with money issues these days, they never knew what it was to save. They weren't taught to save. They weren't motivated to save. They were never asked to save any money. So as a result, When they're adults or they're trying to make their life and they don't have any money, it becomes very, very difficult for them to, to spend or how to use their money wisely. We don't want that for our children. We want our children to grow. We want them to have the best lives. But we all know that in order for you to be really successful and enjoy your life financial wise, you got to have your money right. And if you don't have your money right, it's kind of difficult for you to buy the things that you want to buy. It's harder for you to even take the vacation that you've been trying to take all those years. Buy that home that you want to buy. We need to ingrain those things in our children. I just really hope growing up that, as things have gotten a little bit better with time and aging technology, a lot of people have learned how to, how to preserve their money, how to save their money. Nowadays, a lot of children don't even know how to save their money. They've never been introduced to a bank account. They've never been told that, listen, you know what, if you have some today, you could put down some for tomorrow. We just give to our kids and go. And it's great to give your kids, but in the process or in the interim or in the middle of giving to our kids, we're letting our kids know that, hey, listen, there's something in it if I save for the long haul. It's gonna get good. I'm gonna gain. Once I invest this money and I put this money down, there's something in it for me in the end. I just don't want my child to feel like, listen, you know what? I'm just gonna be spending freely and freely each day. Spending freely and freely each day is not a great way to live. You have to preserve and put something down for a rainy day. So when you put things down for a rainy day, you're allowed to watch and make your money accumulate and grow. In addition to the bank account, starting with the credit, teaching the child how to build the credit or helping the child to build the credit to save, and even after actually recording the money and so forth. You could also have the child to set long-term goals. When a child has a long-term goal that they want to work on, trust me, if they know that, listen, I got to save and put down something to get towards that goal, that child is going to want to do it. You got to set it where the child understands that the money is what's important in order for you to get the things that you want to get. Money is great. Money is wonderful. But you don't want money to be something that's a struggle or that's a hindrance for you when you want to live your life. And so, if we don't put it in our children's head at this point or this stage in their life, when they're young and they're small and they're still in the care of our hands, that they need to put something down, it's going to be very difficult for them. The objective and the goal is not to make our children's financial life difficult. We want them to be prosperous. We want them to be happy. We want them to enjoy their money. We want them to enjoy their lives. And in order for you to truly enjoy your life and enjoy yourself, you need to ensure that you have your money right. So the point of the message today is let's teach our children how to enjoy their money, how to get their money right from the time that they're little small kids. I guarantee those children will come back and thank you later when they're living financially stress-free and they're living abundantly well. All right, beautiful people, that's it for today. If you've gotten this far in my message, I thank you for your time. Again, as I said, if this video resonates with you, please share it, comment, like, and subscribe. You have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hey, beautiful people, it's your girl Mel here from Team You Finance. And today we're going to talk about how to basically repel the constant borrower. But before I get right into it, I want to give a special, special shout out to Mauve St. Pierre. Thank you so much for buying me my first cup of coffee as I'm here trying to grow this channel. Your support means so much to me. I also want to give a special shout out to the subscribers that have been on this journey with me thus far. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into it. The other day I posted a video and I talked about people that you need to stay away from when you're trying to level up your money. I talked about people that are always trying to borrow money. I talked about the crab in a barrel or bucket people. I talked about the baller. I talked about Mr. and Mrs. Broke. It's a whole list. That's another one of my videos, but check it out on my channel. As I'm new to this, I don't really know how to connect the other videos that I did, so just bear with me. But again, if you look at my channel, you could see what I was talking about in that prior video. In any event, again, like I said, I wanted to talk about how you get rid of the constant borrow when you're trying to level up your money. The worst thing that can happen when anybody's trying to make their money is that you have somebody that's always trying to borrow the money. Well, I have a solution for that. But before I give you the solution, I want you to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Again, comment, like, subscribe, and share. Let it go through the algorithm so other people could hear all about what I have to say about the consent borrower. All right, so in order to repel the consent borrower, you have to kind of look at it this way. You have to look at it as, they see you as a source of money. It's literally a job for them to constantly call and borrow from you because they think you have it and they think that you need to share it. So, as I've said before, you always have to have a plan on how to deal with these types of people. So, for me personally, if the consent borrower, the borrower always keeps calling me to ask me for money, the first and second time, yes, I could help you. I could give you something. Heck, I'd even give you some money and say you don't really have to pay me back. But after a while, if I keep doing that for you, you're going to keep thinking that it's okay to borrow. So the other suggestion is to just simply say no. But you want to kind of do something where the borrower knows that, listen, I've had enough and I want to try to, you know, I need to stop trying to take money from me or from that person. So the simple solution to that is when the consent borrower calls you and asks you for money, how about you flip the script? Flip the script on the consent borrower and say, hey, listen, you know what? It's funny that you're trying to borrow some money from me, but I was going to ask you to borrow some money. What? Yes, you have to flip the script and ask the borrower to loan you some money. You tell the borrower, say, hey, listen, you know what? I've always loaned you money. Now I'm in a jam. Now I'm in a bind. Can you help me? Can you give me some money? I guarantee that borrower is going to stop and think and say, hey, what? What do you mean you want to borrow from me? You're in a better position. So, in actuality, you're trying to teach the borrower that, listen, you know what? I know what you're doing. I know what purpose this friendship is for. I know exactly where you're going with this. Once you flip the script and you tell that borrower that you want to borrow some money from them, they're going to say, no way, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to help you. You know what? I guarantee that that borrower is not going to call you anymore and ask you for any money. That's how, one of the ways you get rid of the consent borrower. You flip the script on them. You borrow from them. Now, in reality, we know the borrower is not going to lend you any money. Because remember, you're the money pit. They're always going to come to you for money. And they already believe that you're in a better position, or they already think that you don't have a need, you don't have a use, you don't need to use your money. And let me tell you something, it doesn't matter how much money you make, how wealthy you are, or even how poor you are. Everybody has something that they need to do with their money. And lending a borrower money all the time is not one of the things that you prioritize. Everybody has their bills to pay, but for some reason, the borrower doesn't think, they don't care about what your expenses are. I had a gentleman say to me once, they were like, oh, my family always borrows money from me, and I feel bad when I don't give it to them. And he was like, you know how hard I work to get my job and to make the money that I make. I was said, I'm sure you work very hard, but you have to learn to tell them no. You can't let nobody guilt you into feeling bad for saying no. I said, just as how you can go out there and work and make your money and invest your money and do whatever it is you do to make or keep your money, you have to let your family members know the same thing. And again, I can understand if the borrower is a family member. I get it. You feel bad. Maybe growing up, everybody didn't have a lot of money and now you made it. And because you made it, you feel obligated to give the consent borrower some money. I get it 100%. But all I'm basically saying is this: whether it's a family member, it's a friend, or it's an acquaintance that that's always trying to borrow money from you, flip the script and ask them to loan you some money. I guarantee they're going to think twice before coming to you to borrow money again. Other than, flipping the script and asking the consent borrower to loan you some money at one point, you can also ask that borrower, say, hey, listen, all right, okay, even if I hit you up and I loan you some money, what's your plan for paying me back? How you going to give me my money back? I guarantee that borrower does not have a solution on how they're going to pay you back, because remember, you're just a source of income for them. You're a source of income that they're going to take every single day. And the fact that you have the nerves to say, oh, listen, oh, what's your plan? Or what about you loaning me some money instead? They're looking at you like you're crazy. They don't want to hear that. Now, to make it even worse, if you ask the borrower to give you that plan, you're going to say, listen, okay, tell me exactly when you're going to pay me that money back. And you ask the borrower, like, okay, so if you pay your bills, how are you going to give me back my money once I need to pay my bills? I guarantee the borrower is going to tell you that you're absolutely crazy, or they're going to stop calling you. When people try to take advantage of you or they try to go around you, they try to use you, they try to sidestep you, you have to be strong and put a stop to you and say, hey, listen, I can't keep doing this anymore. Because the more you keep letting them or the more you keep giving it to them, they're going to keep coming back. Right. Another story. I remember I knew a dude that borrowed some money from a girlfriend of mine. At the time, she wasn't making no great money. She was just starting out. And he was also starting out in the tech industry, waiting for his check to come through. She loaned him some money. And when she loaned the money, she said, Mel, I've waited and waited. This man is not paying me back. So I said to her, listen, why don't you just ask him for your money? Just ask him, you don't have to be nasty about it. Just simply say, if his name is John, say, hey, John, can you tell me when you're going to pay me back the money? Lo and behold, she did ask him for the money. This gentleman said to her, oh, I didn't give you the money back because I didn't think you needed it. I said, you don't need it? She said, yes, he believed that I didn't need the money. And I said, why would he think you don't need the money? She says, well, I never borrowed from him. And there's times that I've been broke, but she said, you know what? I always pay myself. I always put $1 down. I always put something down for a rainy day. And that's what he wasn't doing. That's why he had to borrow from me. Anyway, make a long story short, story time. The gentleman did end up giving her back the money, but she had to wait a long time to get her money back. And I'm sure she learned the lesson. You can't lend your money to everybody. So again, when a constant borrower comes to you and they're trying to get you to give them your money, flip the script and basically try to borrow from them. I guarantee you they're not going to want to lend you that type of money. And it's funny because people that do those type of things, people that borrow or people that expect you to give them handouts all the time, when it's your turn to actually, count on them or to ask them for help, they never want to help you. They never want to help you. They don't want to give you anything. They refuse to give you anything. They decide that, look, they're not going to, because they don't think you need it. It's like people like those believe that you don't need any help. And I don't care who you are, what job you have, what title you have in life, what profession you have. Everybody needs help at some point. Not because you believe I'm better off or I'm well off than you. You think that I don't need any help. And that just shows me if you could think of me like that, you don't have any compassion towards me as a person. You don't care about me, and you certainly don't care about my finances. You just want to rob my finances. So as a result, I now realize that, hey, I either got to cut you off, or again, you got to give me a plan how you going to pay me back, or you're going to have to lend me some money at one point. Beautiful people, if you're enjoying this content and you like what I have to say, please comment, like, and subscribe. I do appreciate the support so far on this channel. It's been such a wonderful journey, and as each day goes by, I'm learning and I'm growing. But again, on this channel, all we talk about is finances and we talk about money. We talk about the things that are going to level us up and is going to get us to go to a different level in our lives, right? Because listen, I don't care what anybody says. People say, oh, money's not all, money's not everything. No, money is not the beginning at the end of your life. But in order for you to have a beautiful and blessed life, you need to make sure you have the right amount of money, the proper amount of money. They used to always say when I was growing up, I got to rob Peter to pay Paul. Well, for this year, we're not going to keep robbing Peter to pay Paul. We're not going to. We're going to pay Paul, and we're going to pay Paul, and we're going to have some left over for ourselves. Right? That is the ultimate goal, to have some money left over for ourselves. We're not going to always keep begging and borrowing. And that was ultimately my message for today, to try to tell, my viewers or tell people that, listen, it's okay to be kind. It's okay to be generous, but not when you're being taken advantage of. And if you have somebody who's always trying to one-up you, take advantage of you, they believe you don't have a need or a use for your money, or they're trying to, always live their life off of your finance, your income, you got to put a lid on it. You got to cut it out. So in actuality, again, ask the borrower to loan you somebody to help you for once, or you ask that borrower to basically give you a plan on how they're going to pay you back. I guarantee they'll stop calling you because now you become very difficult. You're difficult to deal with. They can't use you anymore. And you're basically a waste of time because you're not giving out that free money anymore. With that said, people, I appreciate everybody that's gotten this far in my video. Thank you so much for listening. Again, comment, like, subscribe, and share. Pass the information to somebody else. These are just a few words of wisdom and encouragement as you begin or you're continuing with your financial journey. This is a perfect way for you or to feel motivated to want to keep your money so you can level up. Remember, this year, 2025, we are not giving our money out to people anymore. We're not wasting. We're saving. We're opening high yield savings accounts. We're leveling up. We're buying our houses. We're buying those beautiful cars that we want. We're going to take them vacations that we want to take, that we have not been able to take. And the reason why we haven't been able to do those things is because we've been lending our money to those constant borrowers, or we've been giving our money free. We're stopping that this year. This year, we're leveling up, and we're going to continue growing. Right? All right, people, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy this message. Thank you for all your support. Hey, beautiful people. It's your girl Mel here from Team U Finance, and today I want to talk about advice, money advice. First thing before we get into it, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been supporting the channel so far. I really do appreciate it. We're growing, the word's getting out there, and the numbers are looking good. So I thank everyone again that has subscribed so far, and has also bought me my first 2 cups of coffee. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. So let's get right into it. Now, yes, I have this channel and I talk about money and I put things up and I make suggestions on how to make money, but I'm not directly targeting anybody specifically and saying, okay, this is what you have to do with your money. These are just tips, things that I've researched, things that I know in my own personal life, and some little, suggestions on how to level up and make our money work for us. Because again, at the end of the day, everybody could always use a little extra money. Sometimes a person might come to you and they might say, hey, listen, I'm broke, I'm down and out. Can I get a little money? Can you loan me some money? Can you help me out? No worries, no issue, no problem. It only is an issue when the person keeps coming back constantly, day in and day out. So if the person keeps coming back day in and day out, you say to them, listen, okay, I'm going to try to teach you how to make some money, or to let your money grow for you, or to change things for you. Listen, they can come and borrow from you 15 times. You can make them 20 loans. You can give them your life savings. They don't want no advice from you. They don't want to hear about anything that you have to say about how they could make the money. Because money is a very personable issue for people. It's personal. People, although they might come to you and say to you to help them financially, they don't want you to tell them how to make money. They don't want you to tell them how to grow money. They don't want you to tell them, how to invest their money. People take it personal. People get offended by stuff like that. So, for example, the whole idea of money goes, with culture and your upbringing. Now, in everybody's household, money is different. Maybe one family taught their kid or their kids that they needed to save. Another family taught their kids, like, listen, put your money under your mattress. Another family said, take your money to the bank. Another family said, share your money. Everybody's upbringing is different. So as a result, as we grow into adults and we really start to handle or have a use or a need for money, the way we think stems from our childhood, right? So now I'm an adult, I'm having a little money issue, for example, and now I'm going to come to you, you're going to try to teach me and tell me about money. Number one, people think that you're judging them when you tell them about money. They think you look down on them. They think you think you're better than them. Because how dare you, after they came to you, how dare you try to teach them what you know or give them some type of advice? People don't want to hear that. Let's talk about when, they think you're judging them. Number one, if you've been blessed to be in a very good financial position, you're making great money. You're making how many figures in corporate America wherever you work. And somebody comes and says, listen, can you lend me some money? You try to say to them, listen, you know what? I built a career. This is what I did. Why don't you try doing the same thing? Oh, no. You are highly offended them because you're judging them. They're thinking in their mind that you're judging the fact that they never attained a career. They think you're judging their background. They think you're judging their family life. They think you're judging them from where they come from. They don't want to hear stuff like that. People do not want your advice, and they do not want to be judged. Now, on the other hand, if you come to me personally, if you're always coming to me for money and everything like that, and I've made suggestions to you, and you're going to be offended by what I say, I'm not going to waste my time with you. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to say, listen, hey, I don't know what's going on with you, and you've come to me multiple times, and I've helped you, and God has blessed me to help you. But at the same time, I'm going to try to teach you a few things. I'm going to split my blessings with you, and I'm going to teach you a few things. And if you seem like the person where you don't want to listen, you're not interested because you got some type of thinking in your mind, or you have some type of notion in your mind that I'm judging you, then I'm not going to waste my time with you. Because obviously you don't want to learn and you don't want to grow. Okay, That's how I look at it. But on the other hand, I'm not going to keep giving you unsolicited advice that you don't want because you're taking it personal. Okay. The other aspect of it, when you give people unsolicited advice, is in their mind, they think that you, the individual, thinks you're better than them. Now, I don't know what would make a person think that I think, or maybe you think you're better than them. But again, this has to do with the whole mental issue. That's to do with the whole self esteem issue. Money is a personal issue for people. Money is a personal thing. When you meet a person, one of the first questions that you ask a person is, "Oh, hi, I'm so and so. What do you do for a living?" Because people judge you based on what you do. People judge you on the type of job that you have. If you tell somebody when you first meet them, say, "Hey, listen, maybe I work at a certain restaurant chain and I do certain things at that restaurant," as opposed to you saying, I'm the general manager at that restaurant, or I'm an administrator in a company, or I'm the chief financial officer. I guarantee that they judge you and look differently at the person that just has the general basic job in the restaurant than the high paying or the higher stature job.
Yeah, they judge you based off what you work and what you're making. They don't judge you for your characteristics. And it's really sad. Everybody should be, judged and treated fairly. Everybody works the job that they're able to get, but it doesn't matter. People don't want to hear the advice anyway, but we just hope and pray that whoever you're giving the advice to, that they like what you're saying. So that's just how the cookie crumbles.
People judge you based on money. So if somebody's in a position where they're not making that high paying job and they come to you and they say, and you judge them and you belittle, you make them feel funny, I guarantee that they're not going to want to come back again. And they're going to feel some type, you're going to make the person feel small. You don't need to be giving anybody any money or financial advice. Okay? If a person comes to you and they say to you, "Listen, can you help me?" and you feel that they're beneath you or you feel like you're gonna belittle them, just simply say, "Hey, listen, I'm not up for that. I don't lend, I don't borrow, I don't do none of that." But people don't want unsolicited advice. Another thing that I want to point out is this. For example, when you keep giving money advice, and I'm talking about like people that you know personally. I'm not talking about, being on social media or on a YouTube channel. I'm talking about like somebody that you personally know. When you give that person advice, let's say, for example, you give the person advice, you say, "Hey, listen, you know, I like investing. I'm big on the stock market. I'm big in this type of market. And I believe that you should buy these stocks to try to make a few dollars." Okay. So they take your advice because, again, you're a role model. You're leveling up or you leveled up and they look at you great. They want to be where you need to be. Person buys the stock. Maybe a year from now, God forbid, the stock goes down. Who are they going to come and blame? They're going to blame you. They're going to blame you. They're going to say, "You know what? You were the one that advised me to do this." And this is the reason why, as much as I'll, put these videos out and I'll say certain things on this channel, I have a disclaimer that says I am not a financial advisor. I don't, I'm not a CPA. These things that I talk about or I give advice is things that I've experienced in my own personal life in terms of.
Yeah, people like to find somebody to blame. So this is the reason why we don't really give out unsolicited advice, because you mean well, you want to do something nice, but people don't want to hear that. They just want to be able to have somebody to blame. So as a result, I would tell anybody, don't be giving out unsolicited advice. If somebody asks you for help or they ask you what you think, if they're about to buy something, they're about to do something financial, they could say, "Hey, John, Steve, Paul, whatever, what do you think?" But if you find out that they're not really interested, why waste your time? Don't waste your breath, because they don't want to hear anything from you.
Of money, these are things that I've worked on, these are things that I've done. And these are topics that I've researched to talk about. But in no way am I giving you financial advice to do certain things. So what I was basically saying with the stock is this: God forbid if that stock or that investment you told a person to pick up didn't go well, they're gonna blame you. Okay? Another example, let's say for example, you told a person, "Oh, you know what? You're buying a house and buy it in this neighborhood and buy it here or or live here." What if when you buy the house or you take their advice or you give unsolicited advice and they end up in that neighborhood and God forbid they hate the neighborhood. They hate the neighborhood, they hate the streets, they hate the school system, every single thing that they hate. Who are they going to come back and blame? They're going to blame you for giving them personal advice on their finances that they necessarily didn't want. Again, people, like, comment, subscribe, and share if you're enjoying the content so far. If any of this resonates with you or you can relate, please like, subscribe, and share. Really appreciate it. So they're going to blame you when you're giving them personal advice on their finances. Remember, money is a personal issue for people. Money is personal. People judge you based on the type of money that you make. People judge you based on your zip code, where you live. People judge you based on your car. People judge you based on your job. People judge you based on so many things. But in the case of this video, we're talking about actually giving advice to people. We're talking about giving advice to people about money. People don't want you in their personal finances. Not because they come and they say, hey, listen, I need help. Can you give me a helping hand? A helping hand is money. A helping hand is not advice. A helping hand is money. Is money. Is something that they want immediately. That's a helping hand. A helping hand is not you saying, hey, take this course, take this Series 6 license course, or take this, this real estate course, or take this go to this type of conference to learn how to make money. They don't want to hear that. Right? And if you do come across the people that are willing to take personal advice about money or anything for that matter, and are willing to listen, then of course, go ahead, give, freely. Talk. Because the first line in us understanding how to work and deal with money is by having wisdom. Wisdom is the key to everything. When you have the wisdom and you understand how money works or how certain things work or how you can grow financially, you will listen. You will listen. You can listen to people that are giving you advice. It doesn't mean that every single thing that somebody tells you that you're going to jump ahead and do it, because obviously you have the wisdom and the knowledge that, hey, listen, what they're saying doesn't make any sense. But we're not giving unsolicited advice to anyone. Okay? I would even say that even if a person asks me and they think I'm doing so well and they ask me, for example, for advice, I would say, hey, listen, as a disclaimer, I'm not whatever. These are the things that I've personally done to make my money. I don't know if you'd be interested. And let me tell you something, 9 times out of 10, you could be the biggest entrepreneur. You could be making the most money. These people don't care how you got to that money. They don't care how you made the money. They don't care how you're making the money right now. They don't care how you're going to continue making the money. They just want to be able to get some of that money instantly to satisfy a need or cover an expense that they have. So somebody coming to you in a time of need and asking you for help is not a gateway, or it's not an open forum for you to start giving advice. If you feel that you need to give them advice before, all you got to do is simply tell them, say, look, I'm not really up for that. I don't lend, I don't borrow. I'm not giving anything away. Trust you me, they'll get the hint after a while that you're not into lending or giving money, and you're not into giving financial advice to anyone. I think on the journey of finance, people have to educate themselves. They have to try to learn on their own. Everybody has made money mistakes. Yes, I made quite a few. And because I made quite a few, I in turn use it to try to grow. I'm still growing. I feel that I'm blessed in my life. I feel that I'm living somewhat decent, but at the same time, I don't need to advise anybody or try to tell anybody how to live their lives with their money. When you do that, you're just opening up a can of worms. And again, you're opening a can of worms for people to start resenting you and probably feeling or thinking that you think you're better than them. And we're not up for that. We just want everybody to grow. We want people to get wisdom. We want people to share the wealth. We want to keep our knowledge growing. We want to do every single thing that we can to level up our money. That's the point of us doing the things that we do. And with that said, beautiful people, again, if you like the content, if you believe it resonates with you or somebody that you know, please comment, like, subscribe, and share. Really appreciate it. I read all the comments. I enjoy, listening and talking to people about money. Money is my passion. All right. People have a beautiful day. I appreciate everybody that got this far in my message so far. You have a wonderful day. Kindness goes a long way, but unfortunately, it's a word that a lot of people don't know, don't want to hear, or they just don't understand. They don't understand what it means to be kind. But today I'm going to talk about the importance of being kind and being basically polite, because that takes us a long, long way. If this is the first time you're joining me, my name is Mel. This is Team U Finance, and we talk about leveling up our money. We also talk about self growth, and we also talk about self motivation. Okay, so let's get into it. I remember growing up, I always used to hear people say, don't take my kindness for weakness. Again, as a child, I never really understood what it meant. But as I got older and I became an adult and I matured, I realized what that meant. And what it basically meant when they said, don't take my kindness for weakness, is that not because somebody's kind, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily a weak person or that they're stupid or you should take disadvantage of them. But some people, take it to a different level when it comes to being kind. But what I want to emphasize for today's message is that in life, even if you're a kind person or you are a good person, and what I mean by good, like you have a great heart, you care about people, and I'm not just talking about with monetary, I'm talking about just being kind overall. People sometimes want to take advantage of it. And that doesn't mean that you should allow that to stop you from being kind. But I also want to talk about the people, or whether it be friends, family, significant others that are just not kind, and they don't know what it means to be kind. And kindness is something that we can born being kind, or we can develop to be kind. Whether it's innate or it's a learned behavior, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, kindness is something that is developed and is learned. And the emphasis on being kind is that when you're kind and you're good, whatever you give to others, or whatever you try to instill or try to help others with, because you're kind, that will multiply your return in the end. That will multiply your blessings. So there is a benefit in being kind. But before we dive deeper into the return of being kindness, I just want to talk about a few different reasons why some people necessarily aren't kind. Well, you have the people that are just naturally selfish. They don't give anything away. They don't bless anybody with anything. They don't share anything. Everything for them to give away is basically very difficult. It's very hard. Okay? And those type of people, they're just naturally selfish. They're so selfish that they don't even know how to be kind to themselves. Forget about being kind to others. And when I say being kind to themselves, simple little things such as, doing things for yourself, making yourself feel good, buying things for yourself, spending money on yourself. They don't know how to do it because they're so mean and they're selfish. And as a result of some people being so unkind, it even bothers them when you're kind to yourself. Let's take it to the level of money. Now, as I previously said many times before, that money is something that, that answers a lot of our, our issues, our pain points, our well-being. We all need money to live and survive. But I'm talking about where some people are so unkind to themselves that if they see you being kind to yourself or to others, they frown, they get angry. They think that what you're doing is basically silly. They think you're a fool. They think you're wasting your time. Right. And being kind to someone, or being kind, or doing a gesture, a kind gesture for someone, that does not make you a fool. Okay? If you want to take it to another level, you want to take it to a scriptural level. Proverbs 21:21 tells us that to be kind is to be, honorable and righteous. Okay? And those are the reasons why, or some things that we work for to be kind towards others. When you are kind to people, you're not just doing it for you. If God has allowed you to basically bless someone else, look into your heart to do it. But a lot of people don't understand that's what being kind is about. They think that if they're kind to people, that they're a sucker or people are taking advantage of them. On the flip side, you do have people that are kind, and you do have people, manipulators, that take advantage of people because of their kindness. Okay, that's a simple problem to solve. If you are kind-hearted or you're a good person and you find that you have a manipulator who's basically, taking advantage of you and taking your kindness for weakness, as I've always emphasized in most of my videos, you got to cut the cord. You have to put your foot down and say no if you find that somebody's using you. But if you are a person that's genuinely doing goodwill and you are kind and you bless others and you help others and so forth, I would encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. Don't let anybody persuade you and tell you that being kind makes you a sucker or being kind makes you look terrible. It doesn't. It's only selfish, mean people that don't understand the root of kindness that'll say stuff like that. And I'll tell you something else. They're also kind. I'm sorry. They're also, selfish because nobody has ever showed them any type of kindness before. Many times, who they think that they're being kind to doesn't even care about them. Selfish people aren't kind to people that are generally kind to them. They're kind to people that they're basically seeking validation from, or they're kind to people that don't care about them. And in the act of kindness, in order for you to receive any type of blessing for being kind, you gotta multiply it with everybody. You're not just kind to some and you're not kind to others. That doesn't make any sense because you can't be partly kind. You can't be halfway kind. It's either you're kind or you're not kind. Okay? And if you're not kind, we term you as being selfish. And being selfish, that does not make you a good person. Whenever I've basically in my life, I've met so many selfish people. I grew up with them. I was friends with them. I've worked with them. I've come across a multitude of selfish people. And sometimes what is so funny is that the selfish ones, it's like, they're selfish, but you're not going to waste your time and even try to change or confront them because people like those, they can't be changed. There's nothing that could change their mentality. There's nothing that could change their mindset because in their minds, they believe that their being selfish is protecting their own. You're not protecting anything. You're just blocking your blessings when you're so mean. Okay? I always ask myself, and when I look at myself, I say, why are you so mean? What are you benefiting from being mean? Okay? It doesn't look good. I'm not telling you if you're mean that you need to waste your money or you need to give away your things that you work hard for. But what is wicked is when you sit there and you have been blessed and you're in a position where you can help others, but because you're so mean and selfish, you choose not to help. And then many a times these selfish people, they cry wolf and say, oh, I don't have it. Nobody ever helped me. Nobody gave me mine. I had to work for mine on my own. Right. But you have been blessed. Okay. The Bible says faith without work is dead. Okay. Yes, although you have been blessed to get certain things, right? It was also a kind gesture to allow you to be able to work and make the money or buy the things that you want to buy. Now, I'm not telling anybody to give away their hard-earned dollars because I won't. I'm not going to go out there and work and do things for myself and then just give away my labor. No, I'm not going to do that. But all I'm simply saying is that if you are in a better position and you're fortunate that you can help somebody, you should help. Try. Because you never know. Maybe that one person that you helped many years ago, maybe it'll bounce back to generation. Okay? This is where we can even help to break generational curse where, poverty is not always seen. In other words, meaning that what you did many, many years ago, maybe it could bounce back on your offsprings or somebody that's near and dear to you. They say, what falls on the head is basically going to fall on the shoulder. Right? But in order for something to fall back on the shoulder, we have to basically be kind and we have to be generous. We have to have a willing heart. Again, people, if this is the first time you're joining me, this is Mel. Please subscribe, share, comment, like the video. Tell me what your thoughts are about being kind. For me personally, I think kindness, is a virtue. It is something that I think I was born kind. And I think I also learned how to be kind. Because for me personally, why kindness matters to me is that, again, growing up, I grew up around a lot of selfish people, a lot of selfish, cold people that frowned upon the word of being kind. And I said to myself, I said, you know what? I didn't like when people weren't kind to me. I didn't like it. I thought it was wicked. So I said, you know what? I'm going to continue being the best that I can be. Again, this is part of the healing journey and, and leveling up and finding yourself. Right. I said I was not going to live my life where I was an unkind person. But on the flip side, again, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me either. You got to have a balance. Do the good that you can do. Be kind. Share if you can share, or try your best to share. And another thing is, whenever you're doing anything, never do it because you're seeking a reward. Never do things to be validated and appreciated by others. Do things from the bottom of your heart. Do things because you want to do it. Do things because you see fit to bless or to help a person from the goodness of your heart. Okay? There's always somebody watching your goodness. And all of that kindness that you exhibit is being added and tallied up. Just like when you're selfish and mean, everything that you're not doing is being added and tallied up. Okay? We try our best to live the best way we know possible. And we try our best to be kind, and we try our best to help others. Because at the end of the day, if you claim that you want to grow, but you don't try to help others grow, there's not going to be any growth for you. There's not going to be any growth. It's like you're basically working in vain, or there's always going to be a hole in your pocket. So with that said, beautiful people, again, if this message resonated with you, if you had an experience where you learned how to be kind, or you grew up around selfish people, or you've been around selfish people, and you said, you know what, listen, I'm not going to be like them because this is not the way to go. Let me tell you, I could tell you personally, in my own personal life, there's been so many times that I was blessed. And, I wasn't blessed. The funny thing is, the ironic thing is that I wasn't blessed by the people that I knew. I was blessed by other people. Other people, random strangers, people that I didn't even know, that I didn't even expect any compassion from. They showed me kindness. Okay? And to that I will always have gratitude. I would always be grateful for what was done for me. So all I'm simply saying is that if you can have, or find it in your heart to have an act of kindness towards someone or something, do it. Your kindness is appreciated, and you'll definitely be rewarded. With that said, if you've got this far in my message, I thank you for your time and your attention. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. A lot of people are going through a really rough patch and a really rough time right now, especially, the making of this video, October 2025. Right now, the country is in a major government shutdown, and a lot of people are left uncertain about where their next dollar is going to come from. And as a result, a lot of people are panicking. But I am here to tell you today that, there is some type of hope. Financial abuse is a tactic that a lot of money abusers use to, gain control and manipulate people. And this often occurs in, many instances. This can occur in, intimate relationships. It can occur in, family, parent-child relationships. It can occur in friendships. It could even occur on your job. Okay? Anywhere or any place that somebody's being used, or again, their kindness is taken for weakness, is basically a form of financial abuse. If this is the first time you're joining me, my name is Mel. This is Team Your Finance, where we talk about, leveling up. We talk about self-motivation, and we also talk about, financial gain, improvement. So let's get into it. So financial abuse is a topic that a lot of people don't really, I'm not going to say they don't address it, but it's not something that is readily placed on the table. A lot of people tend to blame others or blame situations where, they've been abused financially because they really don't know that they're being abused financially. So I'm going to talk about, a few instances or a few cases where financial abuse takes place today. So the first one that I'm going to address is, of course, the intimate relationships, whether it could be your spouse, your significant other. And this is where, you and the person are in a relationship or a marriage or what have you, and money is being used to abuse you. And, a lot of people say that abuse, or a lot of people think that abuse is just something physical. And you might say to yourself, how can you abuse somebody with money, or how can money abuse you? Oh, it can happen. And how does the abuse start? the abuse starts again when you're in that relationship and you think you have a partner, and you and the partner are supposed to be building together, but yet it's like you're not seeing the dollars coming into the relationship or into the home fairly. Money's being allocated somewhere else, or money's being squandered, or before they give you money, it becomes it becomes a fight, or something terrible is happening, because again, because they have a lot of more money than you, or because you're supposed to bring their part, they abuse it. And when they start to abuse you, whether be it emotionally, or even god forbid sometimes physical, because of money, that is a way for them to distract, to basically not bring the money into the relationship or the home. And it occurs with people all the time. And hence, a lot of people, or a lot of couples, fight over money, right? The abuser basically uses money to manipulate the relationship. In other words, you're at their mercy for them to contribute or for them to give you anything. That is one form of financial abuse. Okay? Please comment, like, subscribe, and share if this information is relevant, or you can benefit from it. Again, this is Team U Finance. Please subscribe. But as I was saying, with financial abuse, it's something that happens a lot of time, and people don't even know what's happening to them, or they don't address it. Another instance that financial abuse occurs is basically, in friendships. And it goes to the saying, don't take my kindness for weakness. So you and the person are friends, or you're with a group of friends, and it's always where, if you guys are going out to do something, or you're going to an activity together, you're going to hang out, and for some reason the person always finds a way to manipulate you into paying the bill, or manipulate you into covering their expense, and so forth. And they do it in such a subtle way that you don't even realize. Mind you, you kind of peep that it's happening, but in your mind, you're like, well, I can't really believe this, because this person is supposed to be my friend, or we're a friend group. But again, or if they don't, expect everything to fall on you, they always want for you to pay for them. And you dare not ask back for that money, because they'll say, oh, I thought we were friends, and so forth. They realize that you're a kind person, and because they realize that you're kind, they're taking your kindness for weakness. That is a form of abuse, because you are essentially putting somebody in a position where they're being manipulated, and you're taking advantage of their kindness. Again, abuse doesn't always have to be physical. Abusers abuse in different ways. And in this case, we're talking about when people abuse people with money. And it's not a nice thing to do. Because at the end of the day, everybody needs a dollar to spend. And so if you're going to abuse me or manipulate me into wasting or using my money while you sit on yours, then again, you're not for me, you're against me. So that's how financial abuse occurs in friendships. They constantly play on your emotions. They know you're kind, and they always expect you to do financial favors for them. And what is ironic is that if the tables are turned, they would never be there for you. And because you're self-sufficient, you never ask anybody to help you financially. Or even if you do, it's only once in a while. So again, these people know that you're self-sufficient. They know you're doing well. And this is why they constantly take advantage of you. And they use the manipulation tactic to abuse your finances. Another way that financial abuse occurs, and this often happens, with the parents, with the families. And let me explain what I mean by that. As children, when we're being raised, or even if we're, teenagers, whatever, at a certain age, as we're growing and we're coming up, there's things that we need to do. Whether be, you want to attend a certain institution, you want to buy a car, whatever it is, you want to invest in something, you want to participate in an activity. And many times when we go to our parents, they don't do it. They don't give it to us. They don't help us. They'd rather sit and watch us struggle and suffer. And, when you ask them to help you, they'll say, oh, I don't have it. But it's not financial abuse because your parents didn't have it. It's financial abuse when that parent has it. And for some strange reason, they want you to struggle. They don't want to make it easy for you. Their whole take is that, you know what? Well, when I was coming up, I had to struggle for everything that I have. I had to grow. Nobody gave me anything. So because nobody gave me anything, I'm going to have to let you work for everything. But my whole take take on that is that if you've been blessed, if God has blessed you through your hard work to achieve, and you have your kid or your family member that's trying to level up and you're not helping them, then that's a form of abuse. It's not something nice. It's not something that, that should be done to anybody. So this is where you see the abuse in the home. So financial abusers are not only in intimate relationships with a partner. Financial abusers are, in relationships, as I said. Financial abusers are in friendships, and financial abusers are in parent and children relationships. Anybody, whether it be a friend, your significant other, your parent, that want you to struggle or make you struggle or be at their mercy, make you beg when they're in a position to help you, that's not good. That is just cruel. And so when you realize, or if you recognize that you're being financially abused, this is where leveling up or, self-motivation pushes you up to change that. You're going to break that cycle. Because remember, a lot of the people that abuse you is because they were abused. This is what they know. They were abused. They were treated bad. They didn't have any financial support of any form. And so essentially what ends up happening is that they take that out on you. But at the end of the day, this is where you're going to differentiate and you're going to move along, and you're not going to even continue with this. You're going to break the cycle. And the first way to break that cycle is literally by having a come up. How do you break the financial abuse cycle? You start doing you. I talk about doing you in so many of my videos. I say take care of you. I say level up. I tell you, I say self-care. I say do all of these things. I say get your mind right. Because that is the first part of breaking financial abuse. When your mind is right and you recognize that you are abused or you're in the journey of being financially abused, you got to break that cycle. Once you break that cycle, it's time for you to level up and get your growth. Okay? We level up. We basically, we get our jobs, we get our training. Although, we might go out there and work our 9-to-5 jobs, we still got to have faith. We still got to pray. We got to get a little bit of help. Those are the first factors in getting yourself financially fit. We have to learn to break the cycle. Not because you were financially abused, it doesn't mean that you should, continue being an abuser or let somebody keep abusing you. Break the cycle. Don't let it happen to you, or don't let it continue, or don't expand on something that was done to you that wasn't good. So that's just my take on financial abuse. Financial abuse is a real issue, and it's an issue that needs to be addressed and has not been addressed. And I just really feel really passionate about it. And I believe, even through this channel, that it is something that can be addressed and that can be challenged. In any event, as I said, this is Team U Finance. If you got this far in my video, I thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hey, beautiful people. It's your girl Mel here from Team U Finance. I hope everybody's doing well today. Now, let's get straight into it. Today, I want to talk about teaching your child how to save. And this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, being that I have my own children, and it's something that I try to do all the time, teach them how to put $1 down and how to preserve what they have. So let's get into it. First thing, I notice nowadays that a lot of children, whenever they get their little pocket monies, they like to buy things like video games, they like to spend online, they like to go out with their friends, and that's all good. But in the interim of doing those things, we need to learn how to save $1. So how can a child learn how to save $1 if it doesn't start from us, from when we're raising the kids or when we're nurturing the kids? So I have a few suggestions on teaching a child how to save and the reason why we should teach them how to save. First thing that I would do to get a child to save is basically start with a bank account, depending on the age. Now, no child is too young to have a bank account, even if it's a custodial account that you're going to open for that child to start putting their money away. Many times children get money, they get money from their grandparents, they get it from relatives, they get it from you, whomever. Especially when a baby's born, people open up accounts for them, they give them stocks, they provide some type of insurances. Little children are always blessed to have a lot of money. So when the kids are getting the money, why not allow them to put that money to work for them from a young age? When you teach your child how to save from the beginning, they already know what to expect and they already know how to spend money, how to handle money. So I have a couple suggestions on how to get your child to start saving. The first thing that I would definitely do, especially when my child gets an allowance or anything, I would try to tell that child to put some of it away. You can start with a simple item or a simple tool such as a piggy bank. The good old fashioned piggy bank always works, where when you get your money, you deposit it, you leave it there in that piggy bank, and you have easy access to it. You can also motivate the child if it's a older child, not necessarily a small young baby, but an older child that's moving and freely about. You can motivate them when they buy something, teach them how to spend some of their money or put some of it away rather than spend everything in one day. Again, we're gonna tell our kids that listen, we're gonna put some things down for a rainy day. That's just another way to get a child to save. The one that I think really resonates well in teaching a child how to save and to learn about money is basically establishing credit for your child from a young age. Now, I'm not telling you to have a conversation with a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old, even a 10-year-old about credit. But what it is, what you can do, or what would be advisable to do, is that let's say, when the child is born, from the moment the child gets a social security number, if you are a person that has good credit, you could simply put your child on one of your credit cards as an authorized user. You know what? Once the baby gets their social, immediately that's what you can do to get them to start learning how to save and how to preserve their credit, because you can save all you want in the world and you could have everything to your disposal. But when that child goes to make that first major purchase or make purchases in the future, if they don't have good established credit that they worked on, all the savings is going to go right out the door. So we need to first teach our children or help our children to establish their credit. So when they do save their money, they could easily, go out and buy the things that they want to buy, being that they have that great credit score. And again, credit is the foundation and the building, of saving. All right, so how do you do it? Well, as I said, you get an authorized user, you get a credit card, you put the child on your credit card as an authorized user. And once you put the child on your credit card as an authorized user, over years, even if the child is just 1 year old or just, 2 months, once the child has that social security number, they're building up their credit profile over the years. Once they build up their credit profile, by the time the child reaches 18 or they become a full-fledged adult and they want to start making purchases, they already have their credit established. And so all that money that you already taught the child how to save, they would use that money to buy they would use that credit rather to buy the things that they want to buy. That's another way to teach your child to save for the future.